see it being a family business. You know, when you see your friends' children doing well, and
schoolmates in terms of tonight with the Spurs boss as well.
The links are there all the way, and it just shows you how much football means to all of us. And you know, getting back to the game, how much it means to these boys. They're just on the start of their careers, so it's, you know, it's just as important for them today as it was for us 30 years ago.
Long may that continue. Again, old George Marsh is putting himself about a bit, isn't he? He's letting his sort of off-field work do the talking so far. Or
I think he's
off-ball work.
Yeah, I think he's sort of caught up in the chasing and tracking of Smith Rowe and Willock in there. I think he's giving himself the job of looking after Arsenal's more experienced players in that midfield. So that's probably why we're not seeing so much of him on the ball.
It's a selfless role, but one perhaps someone needs to make. Better from Spurs for a second. But as any good goalkeeper should, even if they've been quiet in the game, when you need to be decisive and reactive, do so, and that's what Emiliano Martinez did there.
Yeah, it was a good turn from Shayon Harrison in the number 10 spot. Good slide through for Parrott, but couldn't get on the end of it.
Arsenal at the other end trying to make something happen through Talashi Bola. He's the goal scorer on the night so far, Willock. To Gilmore. Arsenal happy to just stroke the ball around. Not the best of balls from Lowu on that occasion. John Jules trying to close down space on keeper Austin. No joy on that occasion. And you mentioned Shayon Harrison there for Spurs. He's actually the only player in the Spurs 16 tonight who's scored a goal in Premier League 2 so far this season. They've only scored 3 goals in their 3 games, and the other 2 goal scorers not involved in the matchday squad tonight. So that's always a little bit of a concern, isn't it, when you don't have many current goal scorers in your team.
Yeah, that's right. And when you look at the Arsenal squad, we mentioned that a lot of them are from the under-18s, and they're sitting at the top of their league at the moment. So confidence is high in those young players that have stepped up into this Premier League 2 side from the under-18. So, you know, you've got confidence from above, confidence from below. It's a difficult game for Tottenham.
We had a lot of that last season, of course. I think the under-18s finished second in the end, didn't they, in their league? Obviously, Premier League 2, Arsenal won that. Youth Cup finalists as well. And it was a great combination as Amici bears down. Has to take it early and bend it around the defender. There's another time where Xavier Amici's possibly just snatched at the opportunity. And it goes a begging, but he's coming forward again. He's so talented with the ball at his feet. Bola just over hits that cross. Again, Amici, really promising build-up play, and we're not quite seeing the end product tonight.
No, we're looking at Jayden Brown there as well, and Amici has had him on toast for this first half. He's down, he's taking him on down the wing, he's running him inside, he beat him to the bouncing ball there, and you know, he's giving him a right torrid, and I think he's going to have to take a well-deserved break at half-time, Jayden Brown, and he's going to need that because he's been sucking in the oxygen all this first half.
Bola's cross did take a little flick off a Spurs player. Smith Rowe looking for Gilmore with the header. Have a little flick on, and got to be careful there as Pleguezuelo goes for the overhead kick. In contact with one of the Spurs players, but fortunately no major injury, because occasionally these can be nasty, can't they, if you get a flying boot in the face.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't even think that was an appropriate style of shot, really. He had a few players around him. I think he should have just probably nodded it back in.
You see on your screen 2 additional minutes to end the first half of this Premier League 2 North London derby. Arsenal currently 4 points off the top of the table. 3 points off the top of the table, I should say, with a win, a draw and a loss so far, as they try and hunt down Manchester City. It's a pretty congested top. Another win, if Arsenal can pull it off in the second half, would set them up quite nicely at this stage, because nobody's got a 3-win from 3 record in the league. Nobody's running away with it, and Arsenal's slightly slow start may not hurt them if they can make it back-to-back wins.
Yeah, that's right. You don't want to let teams get away from you, and it's important for Arsenal to get 2 wins on the ball. But what I've been impressed with Russ as well, when in the defence, sometimes there is a time just to get that ball and put it into an area behind the fullback, and it can look like a really bad ball sometimes, or like you're hoofing it, but you've had Tyrese John Jules up there. He's reading that the player's going to do that. He's bending his run into that channel. You've got Amici who's supporting that ball as well, and Arsenal will end up picking up possession from it. So they're working really hard, and when it's got to go sometimes, it's got to go, but they've got the players responding to that and reading that.
Certainly a positive facet, no question. Exactly what was mentioned there from David Hillier. Ball over the top, looking for Emile Smith-Rowe, just forced wide, picks it up again as the keeper Austin backtracks, and then the second delivery is disappointing from Smith-Rowe. Glorious football from Arsenal, initially just cut Spurs wide open, just didn't quite fall for them to get what could be a potentially decisive second goal. An Arsenal route, not taking that and several other opportunities to double their advantage, I wonder, as the clock ticks down to half-time.
I don't think Emile realised how much space and time he had there. He could have really done something special. It was a fantastic run, and Arsenal going in 1-0 up and deserved, but could be a couple more.
Yeah, that man Joe Willock getting the goal just 2.5 minutes into the North London derby. Arsenal with such a fast start. That man Xavier Michi, really dangerous, and he did a fantastic job throughout much of that first half. Yes, one or two of his shots left a little bit desired, but he really was the man who helped drive Arsenal, set the platform, and really put Spurs on the back foot. And to be fair, he kept it up for pretty much the whole half, didn't he?
Yeah, we've seen two different styles of wing play. We've seen Tottenham get attacked in the space down their right-hand side with Emile Smith-Rowe exploiting the areas and by making runs, and we've seen on this side Amici doing it with the ball at his feet. So it's been a really difficult time for Tottenham's defence, and I think they're just lucky to go in, as I said, at 1-0. Freddie will be just maybe telling the team just to be a bit more composed when you've got an opportunity. Willock, as you said, could have had a couple of goals as well.
In the second half, if needed, Bukayo Saka's on the bench. He's come off the bench in every game so far in Premier League 2. He's played in all 3 games, and 16, pace to burn, really exciting player. So if Arsenal need someone like Saka in the second half, he's there to add. There's an option on the back of the platform that's been set over the first 45 minutes. I think you pick out one or two other players who've impressed me. I'd say that Charlie Gilmour started the game well and was influential when needed, and then as the half evolved, others probably took up the mantle, but I just like his understated approach, and Pleguezuelo as a leader at the back for me is an important player too. They're a couple who may also get big ticks.
There's a good balance, isn't there? You've got Pleguezuelo, who's more of the technical player, and then you've got Ballard, he's got a bit
rough and ready.
Yeah, he's a bit bruteness about him, and he makes the simple decisions but does them well. You've got a decent balance up front. You've got players, Tyrese, John Jules, that will run and put people under pressure, and then you've got Amici with the little bits of skill. So yeah, there's a good balance in the side. Yeah,
the most certainly is. Decent crowd here as well, enjoying this one. Those vocal Spurs fans to our right, and Arsenal fans like the one on your screen there, enjoying what they have seen. So half-time, it's Arsenal leading Spurs by 1-0. We'll take you back to pitch side. The former Arsenal and England fullback Nigel Winterburn, alongside Arsenal's very own Max Jones.
Well, yeah, so far so good for Arsenal under 23s as they lead Tottenham 1-0. Nigel, you're alongside me. You've been watching that game from the stands. What have you made from the first half?
I think Arsenal have completely controlled the game. Gilmour and Willock in the centre of midfield are bossing the game. Arsenal look the stronger team. They've moved the ball better, although I've heard, listening to Freddie Ljungberg down the front here, he's still not happy with his team. He wants them to keep the ball better, particularly in attacking areas. I love the little battle that's going on down Arsenal's right-hand side with Amici against the Tottenham left-back. So there's some interesting little battles going on, but I feel that at the moment Arsenal are the superior team.
Well, we have edged it. We've made the clinical finish, haven't we? Let's take a look at those first half highlights, Nigel, and let's get your thoughts on this. So it's a perfect start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. Good little work down the left-hand side, and the ball just breaks to. You just see the cross coming in here. First Arsenal players just misses it there, and then but Willock's there on hand, reacts, and a good little side foot finish into the corner of the net. So great start by Arsenal. And deservedly into the lead.
He's a player that you've been impressed with in this first half, isn't he? As we see another chance here, just go begging for Arsenal. In the end, it was good defending by Tottenham this time.
Yeah, I think you could just see Willock again involved, and Amici there with a chance at the near post. I just thought there he wanted to go round the far side and try and just go across. And another save, good save by the goalkeeper. We're just seeing here a host of Arsenal chances, and that's just showing how dominant they've been. Should really be at least 2 goals ahead.
Yeah, I know that you have been impressed with Joe Willock, and also the defence as well. Daniel Ballard in particular is one that stood out. One player who was eligible to play tonight but hasn't because of first team commitments is Dinos Mavropanos, and we've been talking to him this week.
Βεβαίως το 2004 η εθνική μας κατάφερε να κατακτήσει το Euro. Θυμάμαι χαρακτηριστικά σήμερα.
So that's good. Nelson, right across, and Arsenal have scored! Fine move. Oh, it's off the post and it's in! Just checking it is onside.
Turn the fuck up.
Back is it. Fabio, can he get a shot away? Yes, he can! Yeah, Enrique Fabio! Now Mkhitaryan, that's a better effort! And that one finds the net! Drives it in, it's 2-2! Alex Iwobi with the strike! Here's Bale in a better position, this time he's onside, good delivery! Surely this will be a goal! Wilshere got back, I think, and maybe a deception it was, but the ball is still loose. It's clever delivery, surely Welbeck will score, and he does! Arsenal confirm the win!
Always wanted a real one coming to the city. This is a remix, baby. What you tryna hide? Baby, won't you slide through? I'm not tryna find any reason to control you. Take a look inside. Don't you miss the old you? Not as much as I do. Baby, won't you slide through? Baby, won't you slide through? Trying to find any reason to control you. Take a look inside. Don't you miss the old you? Not as much as I do. Baby, won't you slide through? I'm not trying to find any reason to control you. Take a look inside. Don't you miss the old you? Not as much as I do. Baby, won't you slide? Baby, won't you slide down?
down their right-hand side. And I think sometimes when you're out on the wide sides of the pitch and you're not getting a lot of the ball, sometimes then you have to come looking for it. So step into the centre midfield a little bit more. Try and put yourself in a position where you can receive the ball more often. But he's a player with obvious quality. We saw that there with a lovely finish just at the end that was disallowed. But he's a player that's got obvious quality. And as we were just saying, like last 10 minutes, he really came into that game quite strongly.
So here's hoping he continues that momentum into the second half. We've also been hearing from Chris Moore, who said Amici and Willock have been bright, but he also likes Ballard as well. He's a big no-nonsense centre-back, and you've played with a couple of them, haven't you?
Yeah, big old-school centre-half. And we're in the modern era where we like our centre-halves and even our full-backs to be very, very comfortable on the ball, come out with the ball. But occasionally I do like to see someone that's dominant, that attacks the ball, is very, very committed, and he's certainly that.
So remember, just keep your tweets coming in. Obviously, if you're watching Facebook Live, then drop a comment below. But if you're on Twitter, hashtag AFCU23, and make sure you're tweeting that at Arsenal. Nigel, just before we get underway for the second half, just wanted to touch on the battle that you mentioned, just emerging down this left-hand side. Who do you think's come out on top so far?
I think Amici's come out on top. I could see Freddie giving him some advice there from the sidelines as well. Lots of pace, good ability, and occasionally he's just got to make that right decision. Very, very left-sided, so wants to come inside, back inside a lot as well. But I do like on occasions where he's opening the full-back up and then he's going to the outside and he's whipped in a couple of nice crosses with his right foot. So I think that's an area he needs to keep working on as well. But as a winger, it's all about opening your full-back up and then being clinical in terms of your shot, your pass, or your end product in terms of your cross as well. So, but he's done very well first half.
Yeah, and another player who's impressed you is Charlie Gilmore in the midfield, and Nigel also believes that he's still got a bit of growing to do.
Yeah, I think he looks, for me, he still looks a bit, when I watch some of the other guys, he still looks a little bit leggy. So I still think there's a lot more power, maybe not growing, but more power to come from him there as well. But again, we've got a player that won the ball well in midfield, and his distribution was good at times as well.
Yeah, I mean, about getting the experience in games like this and just fine-tuning, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's about game management. You know, it's about understanding the game, developing your game, and then at half-time, as we just talked about with the coach, with Freddie, he's going to have a few words of what he wants him to do, and then up to the players to go out and deliver that second-half performance. As we've talked about now quite a bit, that Arsenal are the better team. They should win this game comfortably. But if they don't put in the shift in the second half, keep the ball, keep it moving, and then clinical with their finishes and the chances that they get, then they'll make it difficult for themselves.
So there's a word of warning then from our very own Nigel Winterburn. Keep pressing Arsenal, don't rest on your laurels, and make sure that you make this a handsome victory for yourselves. Now we'll go back to the commentary team now for the second half. It's David Hillier, but first, Russell Hargreaves.
Thank you very much indeed to Max Jones and Nigel Winterburn. Russell Hargreaves alongside David Hillier as we await the second half here on Arsenal.com of the Premier League 2 North London derby. As the boys were just saying to you, Arsenal setting their stall out nicely, perhaps a little bit unlucky and a bit frustrated not to be 2 goals to the good or more. This will be a fascinating 45 minutes ahead, Dave, to see whether or not Freddie Ljungberg's boys can get the job done, make it back-to-back wins and really continue to climb that table. Just a couple of points separating them from the top, and yeah, it's all to play for, isn't it? And they've got the squad, they've got the capability, they've got the confidence to go far. But nights like tonight, getting the result, not letting it slip like it did against Brighton, are absolutely critical. Yeah,
I think that's the key. They've had opportunities in the first half to really put this game to bed. I mean, if we'd have come in at 3-0, even 4-0, if they'd been clinical in front of goal, no one would be surprised. But in saying that, I don't think Tottenham have played that bad to deserve to be 4-0 down at half-time. That's just purely on chances. Tottenham not really creating anything. Martinez just making a second save from a double corner effort that he tipped over the bar, but wasn't really anything big in that first half from Tottenham up front. I think Freddie will be looking for a bit more clinical finishing in front of goal. The chances that fell to Willock, the second one when he got put through by Tyrese John-Jules, I think he'll be disappointed not to have finished again. I think Amici, when he cut in from the left and he had that opportunity, and Smith Rowe right at the death there with that good run, just a little bit more composure. All the attacking's been done by Arsenal, and as I said, it's all about finishing those chances. Tottenham are only 1-0 down and are still right in this game.
Just looking about any potential changes, not seeing any as far as I can see from the Spurs team that's come out for the second half, but there will be one, because young Janeel Bennett, wearing 16 as you can see there, is going to be coming onto the field. So Tottenham under Wayne Bennett will make at least one change to the team that's been down so far, and the player to come off is Tashan Oakley-Boothe, who down this near side down the left had the odd moment, didn't he, where he looked tidy.
Yeah, we saw a couple of decent bits of play for him up against Joseph Lowu. Doubled up on Joseph a couple of times. We saw a tidy little back heel, but Arsenal were really really strong and confident in defence and didn't panic under pressure and absorbed everything Tottenham had. So I think it's a positive move from Wayne Bennett, a little bit of a change, and obviously it gives Bennett a chance to prove his worth to his new manager. Wayne's only been there since I think the end of last season, start of this season, so he's still trying to make his mark on this Tottenham academy side.
Arsenal unchanged for the second half, same 11 we can confirm have taken to the field. For Sheaf, Conquer, Burton, Saka and Balogun the options later in the game. Janeel Bennett on for Tashan Oakley-Boothe, the one change for Spurs. As we prepare to get the second half underway. Got reaction, Arsenal will get this done? I think they will.
Yeah, I think if they start sharp, start this second half and get that second goal, I think it will put Tottenham under right on the back foot, and it's going to make it more difficult. And I can see Arsenal getting more and more confident. In saying that though, Russ, if Tottenham can get something early doors, their belief will go through the roof, and it could all change.
The thing I did want to add from the first half is one really good player who isn't on the field for Spurs and who had featured in the under-23s earlier in the season. He's a very talented young player called Josh Onoma, who was on loan at Aston Villa last season, played pretty much the whole season in the Championship. England under-21, scored a few goals for them, was prolific before that in the lower age groups as well. He's actually gone to Sheffield Wednesday today on loan and therefore isn't in this Spurs squad. He would have been one who I think would have made this game even tighter and even closer. Yeah,
I mean, you can say the same about Reiss Nelson, can't you?
Yeah, you can.
Those players need to be getting that experience, and I think managers they look at each other and say, we can't have him playing in this side all year, because what is he going to gain from it? He needs to be playing with the big boys, the men, and he needs that experience. So unfortunately the team does suffer not having that ability in there, but it's an opportunity for someone to step into those shoes and prove themselves.
And as good a league as Premier League 2 is, playing first team football, be it not in the Premier League, if it's in the Championship like Onoma, or something like the Bundesliga like Nelson, it is a fantastic opportunity. Much better work there from Smith Rowe. Lovely run, we know he's capable of that and more. Here's Amici looking for the second, so close, and that was glorious football from Arsenal. Brilliant run from Smith Rowe. Amici mightily close. Yeah,
it was Arsenal's probably three most experienced players. I think it was Willock who started that move off. He fed Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe runs down the left-hand side, cuts inside, gives it to Amici on the right, who takes on the fullback, and he does the right thing. He goes across to the far post, just goes a couple of feet wide, but it's another sharp start from Arsenal, and again piling the pressure on Jayden Brown down on that Tottenham left-hand side.
He's been having nightmares, isn't he, Jayden Brown, about this combination of young Arsenal forwards and wingers and attacking midfielders who've been bearing down on the young left-back. Still though, Spurs goal only breached once, and I do wonder, with all these missed chances, whether Arsenal are putting themselves in at least the position of ruining it later in the game. Let's hope not. A second would be very welcome, just to ease the nerves and make this a much more stable scoreline for their hopes of getting the 3 points. Not the greatest of first touches there from the sub Janeel Bennett, but there was no Arsenal player close to him, so he comes again. Wanted the return ball and didn't get it, and flashed a bit of frustration as well.
Yeah, he's come on with a bit of passion, hasn't he? There's nothing wrong with that. He's looking lively. He's making a run down the channel now, and he's been put in.
That's good work there from Janeel Bennett. Decided to take that one early, deflects it off, and Xavier Amici in behind for a Spurs corner, right behind the vocal Spurs support.
Yeah, that'll give him a little boost, wasn't it? He comes on, he got a nice little high five from Brown there, who I think was quite relieved that for once he's in the opposition's half attacking us. But definitely Bennett has started quite lively.
The most convincing of headers clear, it was James Olayinka trying to help out and kind of did more harm than good, flashing that one straight across his own 6-yard box.
Yeah, it was good defending in the end at the far post to clear that ball, get it away from Tottenham.
I think it was Ballard who made the interception. Here he is again, Dan Ballard. Pops it forward looking for the goal scorer, Willock. Good football here, and the sub doing mightily well. Lovely little 1-2. Shot blocked. Gilmore, I think it was, who made the interception. And he's done pretty well there. John Janeel Bennett.
He's come on, looks really lively. It looks like he's had a couple of cans of Red Bull and he's got wings. He's flying all over the place at the moment. He's involved in all Tottenham's good play, and what he's doing is he's getting the ball out wide and he's cutting inside, and he's playing 1-2s off the forward and the number 10 in there.
Played down and receiving a little bit of treatment for Arsenal, I think, is Olayinka. Just to wait confirmation of that in just a second. Have a look at the youngster, who definitely got plenty of hunger and feist to his game. Wonder whether Arsenal might be forced into a substitution. And we talked about Ben Sheaf, and that cracking story of Ben Sheaf coming back from injury is about to be completed. So Ben Sheaf will be coming onto the field. The man coming off will be Joseph Olowu. It was actually Olowu who was down receiving the treatment. Of course, he took a little knock earlier in the game as well, didn't he? Did his best to try and run it off, but Olowu cannot continue. And on does come Ben Sheaf, sporting a ponytail these days, it would appear, but really, really good player, as we talked about in the first half. Slightly late start to the season with an injury, but he's back and he's an excellent player. He should be slotting in to centre half with Pleguezuelo moving to right back. Was that how you do it? Because Pleguezuelo obviously can play there.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the right sort of balance, and Pleguezuelo's got the experience and he can deal with that. Oh, it's a great run by Smith Rowe right across the centre of the pitch, gets to 5 yards outside the D, and it's right footed and it bangs off the post. Brandon Austin nowhere near that. Fantastic effort, really was. Great football. And Arsenal very, very close to a second. And I tell you what, Emile Smith Rowe, really, really impressive so far in the second half. Taking a look here, look at this. Yeah, he worked hard, didn't he? Good pace cutting across. That's a great, wraps his foot right round it. Can't do any more than that, really. Much more influential as he bends in another one. Arsenal looking for that second. Sheaf making a nuisance of himself up there already. It's just taken that couple of moments for Smith Rowe's confidence to come back, and doing absolutely brilliantly. And Smith Rowe really coming to the fore. Sheaf's seen plenty of the ball already since coming on. Another nice bit of interpassing. Bowler to Olayinka. Back to Bowler. No, just continued his run and couldn't quite get there. Pleguezuelo from right back now.
getting stuck in. Probably wouldn't be the quickest of right backs, but his reading of the game is excellent. So good in the air, and I've certainly seen him play there 2 or 3 times in the past. So I don't think it's going to be a major issue for Arsenal when you move your skipper probably to his second favourite position.
Yeah, that's right. I think his key attribute there is his experience, and he'll know exactly, you know, where he should be, and he's got the reading of the game there, so that he can just slot in there. And he's a different kind of player, isn't he? He won't be like up the winger's backside, so to speak. He'll be looking at stepping in front, taking the ball forward, moving into that space. And with Janil Bennett coming on and really firing it up down that side, I think it's an ideal little swap, really. You know, his experience, he'll be able to step in at the right time.
Freddie Ljungberg there, a vociferous figure on the sidelines, those piercing blue eyes intently watching the action. Great to have Freddie, of course, as he's been for a little while back at the club, but it's a really important role, isn't it, under 23 manager, and I think increasingly so for a team like Arsenal, who have this kind of treadmill of progression through the age groups.
Yeah, and I think with the Unai Emery's philosophy about wanting all the teams to be playing or singing from the same hymn sheet, I think it's got a really important role now of developing these players to go into the first team squad if necessary, and, you know, at the drop of a hat. So, you know, it is a really, really important role, and it's nice to see someone who's done so well for the club being given that opportunity as well.
Much better move for Spurs. Magoma to Marsh, the captain, to Shayon Harrison. Back to Marsh, thinks about the shot, floats in the cross, it's a good delivery. And some of the closest Spurs have actually come in the game so far. It was a good move.
Yeah, I think that's the best opportunity of the game so far for Troy Parrott. It's a nice little clip in from Marsh. He just gets behind Daniel Ballard, doesn't it? Daniel's not, he's a bit square on, doesn't see him pull off behind him. Should have really done better. He's got to use the pace of the ball there just to nod it back across Martinez.
Foul on Xabi Amici, sent flying by, guess who, Jaden Brown. Brown is going to go into the book for that one. Even harder for him on a yellow card for the final few minutes of this game.
Yeah, it's frustration, isn't it? He has been run left, right, centre, inside and outside. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if Wayne makes the decision, if he's got a player that can slot into that area, maybe to, you know, give the lad a break, because, as you say, it's be quite easy for him to get a red here, and he doesn't want that.
Jack Rolls, Jonathan Dinzey and Dylan Duncan, the other unused outfield players for Spurs that your old school chum Wayne Burnett could utilise if needs be. Ball flicked on by Parrott, looking for Marsh. Good work this time from Ballard. Smith Rowe just didn't quite have enough of an option there to work the ball.
Referee's assistant actually gave that Arsenal's way, that throw, and I think Smith Rowe clipped it onto Tottenham fullback.
I was right in front of Freddie Ljungberg. I've got to say, didn't react particularly powerfully, but a little decision maybe going Spurs' way and getting the rub of the green. Can they build on it and use it as a platform to launch their way forward? Here they come. Dwelt on the ball way too long there, did Japhet Tankanga.
It's good closing down, wasn't it, from Tyrese there. Got such good pace, and he doesn't slow down. Those last 5 yards, when he gets to the Tottenham defender, he's speeding up and he's getting the blocking, putting the defender under so much pressure. And I mean, that's just the way that Unai Emery wants the first team squad to play, with that press, that high press. So you win the ball back in the final third, and you retain possession there.
Good work from Talaji Bola, plugging away and winning the throw. Smith Rowe doing his best to move the ball quickly to Charlie Gilmore. Out to Pleguezuelo, who definitely is hugging that far touchline as the new makeshift right back. Good through ball. Joe Willock finds his man, and that's a brilliant goal. And that is that crucial second goal, surely, for the junior Gunners. They've taken a big step toward winning the Premier League 2 North London derby. Tyrese John-Jules gets his first under-23s goal of the season. It's typically crisp, incisive and measured finish from the youngster. Lovely goal from Arsenal. It's Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0.
Yeah, it was a classic Arsenal move, wasn't it? picked up the ball in the midfield. We don't see that pass that got slid through in there, but Tyrese is in the right place at the right time after all the hard work and battle in there with James Olayinka. Tyrese picks up the pieces and smashes it home. Brandon Austin really can't do much about that. Off to his right hand side. It's a tidy finish. It's the goal Arsenal needed just to get that far in front, but it really makes it so difficult for Tottenham now, especially when you think of how many chances they haven't created.
Getting stuck in now are Arsenal, and Spurs are rocked a little bit and slightly rabbit in the headlights here. They're struggling to clear their lines. Still Arsenal come. They sense a third and an absolute game killer, I think, at this moment in the game. But pressing forward, the Gunners can't be caught out at the back. Numbers coming back now.
It's a really good recovery from Arsenal there. See, Tottenham put them under lots of pressure, forced Arsenal back. All of a sudden, within 5 seconds, 10 Arsenal players all behind the ball, looking to press Tottenham, giving them no time, even though they're 2-0 up. You know, they could be forgiven for taking their foot off the gas a little bit, mate, but no, they're working really hard. Freddie's got this team really pushing themselves physically.
Atmosphere cracking at the moment. The Arsenal fans chanting after the second goal, the Spurs fans responding in kind. And it's actually, of all the under-23 games I've covered, and it's been plenty now over the last 3 or 4 seasons, this is one of the better atmospheres at the moment. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah, I mean, there's not tons of supporters, but you can certainly hear them, and they haven't stopped making noise. So, you know, and I'm sure the players out there can hear everything that's going on. It's given them a great boost. And certainly the Arsenal fans getting behind their side now at 2-0 against their local rivals, Tottenham Hotspur.
Joe Willock got the opener to Emile Smith-Rowe, absolutely buzzing at the moment. Played on with advantage from referee Quelch. Smith-Rowe's in his pomp in the second half, and Michi is still a massive threat. Willock is surging forward, and of course John Jules with his goal, looking very potent as well. It's quite a combination.
See Wayne Burnett down in his technical area there. He's looking a little bit frustrated because when his side get the ball, they're not transferring it forward quick enough for him. They're not getting into the front men, and because Arsenal are working so hard to close the holes, it's frustrating him. They need to be sharper with the ball, and that's what I said at the start, Russ. You know, that just the movement of the ball, moving it that bit quicker at this level.
So for a man who shared a school year with you, you've got a lot more hair. Looking from this angle from the back.
It's tough game management, isn't it? That's maybe why I took the decision, although mine's gone from the front, so, you know, with what I've got at the back and what he's got at the front, we'd have a good head of hair between us.
He's about to make another replacement, I can tell you, because he's just got Jack Rolls to strip off. The young lad wearing 12 for the visitors will be coming onto the field in a moment. I think we're going to see, as we predicted, Bukayo Saka come on for Arsenal as well. The 16-year-old turned 17 on September the 5th. Incredibly young and incredibly quick and talented, and it's been a real handful off the bench. Premier League 2 several occasions already this season. They're the two players who are coming on. Off for the away team is the captain George Marsh, who, as we say, has had not the influential night he would have liked in the middle of the park. Shake of a head kind of says it all for him. And off for Arsenal, having played really well for the last 15 odd minutes, is Emile Smith-Rowe. Seems a bit disappointed to come off, but not in a bad way. I think just in a way that perhaps he'd like to have continued the progress he'd been showing throughout the game, which he's really grown into, but that's now been taken away from him.
Yeah, I agree with you, Russ. Although just before he came off, he did go down on the pitch. Physio went out, gave him a little bit of treatment. So, you know, every player would love to stay on in a derby game, but, you know, it's precautionary. As you said, there's Carabao Cup games coming up, Europa League, and he will feature in them. He will be part of a very important part of the development players in those squads, and it's best to protect him for that.
Fantastic first touch from Saka coming on. Really, really good interception. Coming back and making an important block was Ollie Skip for Spurs. Skip not as influential in the second half, but there again Arsenal have been spreading the ball more and they've kind of cut him out of the equation. They've not been quite central, have they?
No, that's right, but you know, looking at Joe Willock in there, he's still got a lot of legs, and he looks, I don't want to say he looks young in the first team when he plays for the first team, but in this side he looks so mature. He's got a long stride, the way he plays the game, he's almost like a Yaya Toure.
So I was about to say exactly the same thing.
Yeah, he's got that kind of stride pattern and that control about him, and that just that air about him. He's very upright, shoulders broad.
We're spending too much time together. Yeah, Toure, of course, who could be completing a move to Olympiacos today, without a club since leaving Man City. It's a cracking day of football, isn't it? It's European deadline day, Scottish deadline day, it's Football League loan deadline day. We're busy old night, I think.
Yes, there'll be some very happy agents tomorrow morning.
It's the reason that, of course, one or two of these key youngsters we've been talking about are changing clubs temporarily today because of what we've just outlined. Mention one, quality one for each of the two teams in action tonight. Spurs not a million miles away there.
It's a really good ball in from Jack Rolls there, the substitute. Whipped it in with his right foot. And I think there, if Troy Parrott had just got reacted a tiny bit quicker, he may have had a chance.
You've got to gamble sometimes and just take that chance and make that run, because it ain't going to happen for you, is it, in a game where you're living off scraps for the majority of the time?
No, I think as a forward you've got to be prepared to do that as well. You know, you might make 10 runs, 10 gambles, as you say, and you might get one sniff, you might get none, but then you've got to be strong enough and confident enough to continue doing that, because eventually,
fit enough as well.
Yeah, eventually it does come.
The best of clearances from Brandon Austin there. Just sense that the replacements have kind of gone in Arsenal's favour, where we've seen no change to the defensive quality with Ben Sheaf coming on. Gilmour is down, potentially with cramp. And then I do like the look from the first couple of touches we've seen of Bukayo Saka. He is pacey.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that is cramp or he's stretched as well, as he's been closed down there. And sometimes the combination of a stretch and fatigue can bring on that spasm. It does present itself like a cramp, but they'll want to be careful with this.
Because I guess if the muscle is tightened, you don't want to then force it, do you?
Yeah, it's the speed of the movement with a tight muscle. That's when you get the initial. And he went really quick with it. You know, and have another look at here. Just yeah, he got this little nick on his leg, doesn't he, as well, and he's stretching out. It's a combination of the both.
I think he should be okay to continue, Charlie Gilmour. Just making sure that he warms that leg back up for action. Sometimes when players go down like that, you do wonder, don't you? I was done like a kipper by Granit Xhaka in our commentary at the weekend when he went down beating the floor with his fist, rolling around, and I said to your colleague and mine, Adrian Clark, oh well, this is a bad one. And about 30 seconds later he was up making a marauding run.
Yeah, I'm not so sure whether that might just be the modern player, Russ.
Exactly.
I think back in our day, you know, I don't know whether that would have happened, whether the manager would have tolerated that, and I think he was kind of brought up a little bit different. But you know, in fairness to these players, they are finely tuned athletes. You know, not that we wasn't, but we was more like, not, I don't know, we was more rounded players. You know, we had a little bit of toughness and we had strength and fitness as well, mental strength and fitness. But these are pure athletes, and they can get a knock and get over it quite quickly.
Brilliant run from Amici there. Went through two players like they weren't there. John Jules going for his second. Maybe a slightly speculative effort in the end, but the build-up play was superb, and had that flown in, that would have been a brilliant goal. Yeah,
it was a good run by Xavier Amici again. It was a difficult cutback because it was into John Jules, a good height but with a lot of pace, and I think he did the right thing taking it first time, and it would have certainly been a glorious goal had it gone in, or even if it had made the keeper make a save.
Pleguezuelo showing his aerial prowess as a centre half now at right back there with another strong interception. Next up, by the way, 4 Arsenal under-23s at Blackburn Rovers on the 17th of September. So in about 2.5 weeks' time. Next home game will be at Boreham Wood, 21st of September against Liverpool, another team who are near the top of the early table. It'll be a good game, that. This was the Arsenal-Liverpool game here last season in under-23 football. Good move this. And it's Amici again down the right-hand side this time. Opts to go deep with the cross, which I think was possibly not quite the right option, but when he bursts clear, he's got real purpose and pace behind his runs, hasn't he?
He has, yeah, really good pace, and it was a good receive and turn from Olienka on the right-hand side, who played the ball in behind the fullback. Slide rule pass to Amici.
I've seen someone chest the ball so far as Pleguezuelo did there. He chested it about 35 yards. Sheaf does well. The rebound though falls Spurs' way. Well, he skipped, took a little knock, but he's okay. First time that we've seen Jack Rolls, the replacement, really have the ball at his feet. No real options moving forward for the number 12. So Spurs try and build from the back again. Janeel Bennett, the man who made an early impact, coming on at half time. Here he is.
He looks really lively. I'm not sure whether he's over demanding of the ball, though. He wants to again be involved in everything. And
it's another languid leggy run from Joe Willock, pretty effective, but it's that man Skip who sticks with him and eventually sees the ball out.
He does do well, Willock. He drives the team forward, and you know, he's gained 25 yards for his side there when really he was trapped by 2 Tottenham players, not really going anywhere, didn't have a pass on, but continued to force and drive, and shows good strength and good character, taking his team forward and up the pitch.
The new Yaya. Bowler's throw was a clever one, actually. Exploited the space behind it. It was so close to leading to a third goal. Kaya Saka still looking for his first goal of the season at Premier League 2 level. It was a good opportunity, just couldn't quite make the connection.
And a perfect opportunity to just volley that in, didn't he? Just took his eye off the ball at the last minute.
Good work from a combination of 3 Arsenal players there, Willock included. Oh, then just the early pass from Willock was perhaps the wrong option. Reece John-Jules gets it eventually, but by foul means.
It's great pressure from Arsenal, though. 3 players just descending on any Tottenham player that gets the ball in the back 4, stopping the pass left, stopping the pass right, stopping the pass forward, and then squeezing the player. You know, you've got to have sympathy for these Tottenham boys. It's not been easy having those Arsenal's attacking 4 or 5 players breathing down your neck every time you get the ball.
It won't get any easier, because next up for Spurs, it's current league leaders Manchester City. So as things stand, likely to be just 2 points from their first 4 games of the season. And the pace setters to come as well. Here's Amici again. Putting so many players on him now, Spurs, which does leave gaps elsewhere, clearly.
Yeah, when he drew the 3 players, though, he needs to release it at that point in time. He just held on for it for a second too long.
Sheaf did well, but we've got another player down, and is that Gilmour again? It is.
I think it was Jack Rolls has left a little bit on him there. Referee's going to have a word.
Fortunately, Gilmour's up a lot quicker this time.
Yeah, he's very late there. I think he's fortunate, or he's actually, I think he is going to go into the book for that. I thought he was going to get away with it.
I agree. Initially, it was just a talking to him. Whether Noel said something or whether the ref just perhaps thought a bit longer and then decided to go there, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a merited yellow card.
And I think that's the thing that you've got to learn at this level as well. You've got to learn to hold your tongue and be respectful, because you don't want to be taking that forward as a as a grown-up player, if you like, into the big leagues, because it's just a bad attitude, and referees won't stand for it, and they certainly won't stand for petulance at this level from the young players. And he showed a little bit there. He's talked himself into that card.
Gilmour just making his own point by just niggling back at one of the Spurs players a moment later. As within reason, maybe is right, if you know what I mean.
Well, back in our day, I think that would have been the first thing Pat Rice would have said. If anyone gets hold of anyone on that pitch, within a minute, I want someone in our team to have just
redressed the balance.
Redressed the balance, yeah, and put things right. And that's the way that derbies were.
Not so easy or arguably correct these days, but just a little one there from Charlie Gilmour, who's been on the receiving end of one or two nasty tackles in the game. Players continue to play well, but again, all of these kind of players who are good for this level, no question. Quite where it will lead at this club or beyond, it's very important age, kind of 19, 20, 21.
And it's a lot of it is, they're all good technical players, but a lot of it is attitude and application, and we are seeing one or two frustrated players in Tottenham. We just see Magoma there, you know, throwing his arms around, disappointed with a teammate. You shouldn't be getting like that in these games. You're a team, you should have a lot more composure.
Beautiful crossfield ball there from Joe Willock. That was sensational. Sadly, Amici just couldn't quite control that one, but split second spot pinged pass was really, really good.
I think we'll allow Jayden Brown one challenge.
Clever ball over the top as well. Arsenal coming again. And he's done well. That's twice now that Jayden Brown has done well in the last couple of moments. And Pleguezuelo, I think it is, who's down this time. Like Gilmour, holding that left leg, sort of left lower shin ankle region. I'm still not sure about the severity of the injury. They stick the ball out, and Pleguezuelo, as you can see, has gone down again.
Yeah, he wasn't happy, was he? He did get up and try and run. He ran about 10 yards. We're just going to see it again. I think it was a good recovery challenge from Brown. He does get most of the ball, really, but I think again it's like when you're stretching, he stretched his calf out. I don't think it was any impact from Brown. I think if anyone should have cramp, it should be him, Jayden Brown, because he has done a lot of work tracking back, and it's all been at pace because he's had Amici running at him for 75 minutes now.
Indeed so. Look at one of the young Arsenal players there, just having a quick drinks break as Pleguezuelo just get back to his feet. David Hillier-esque six-pack of his own, as we just saw. Run through the list of players who are away on loan for Arsenal at the moment. Reece Nelson, the latest to Hoffenheim, as we discussed today. Christian Bielik's gone back on loan. Matt Macey, we've mentioned. Kelechi Nwakali, Stevie Mavididi, Takama Asano, the Japanese. There's a few away, but perhaps not actually as expansive a list as there is sometimes. I wonder whether come January in the next window, when they've played a few more games on these shores, if a couple of others might go as well.
I think once Unai Emery gets his reports back from his staff about players' progress, and that decisions will be made about where their futures lie as far as progress and development goes, and if they feel the need that these players need to be playing at a high level, they certainly will be. The last thing you want to do is restrict players that you're making a big investment in.
Touched on most of, I think, the Arsenal under-23 squad over the course of the night in our conversations, those on the field tonight or not. Did it go out? It did. It's trickled out of play. A couple we haven't mentioned, Gideon Zelalem, the USA international, who, having gone away on loan and come back, is coming back from injury. Ben Chiefstar, but a little further behind in his progress. And another player who's played once in Premier League 2 this season, but dare I say appears to have maybe plateaued a little, is the man, of course, who came from Hensford amid much excitement a couple of seasons ago, the left back Cohen Bramall. Went to Birmingham last season, as did Bielik, as did Carl Jenkinson. Wonder what we'll see from him.
I think the trouble is sometimes when you go away, I'll just let this corner go, sometimes when you go away, Russ, and you're looking to develop yourself, other players come through when you're away, so you kind of do fade into the background a little bit.
The man playing left back in Bramall's place is Bowler at the moment. He did really well there. Lovely 1-2, and is that going to be a penalty? It is. Now, Spurs say they got the ball. Be interesting to see the replay. There's two elements at play here, aren't there? Was it a reckless challenge, where if it was, the ball is almost a redundant issue? But if it was a fair tackle, I think that's a penalty, isn't it?
Well, I think there might be contact there, but whether, as you say, well, the referee's given a yellow card as well, so I would imagine it's what you said second. It is reckless as well. Opportunity for Arsenal really to put this game to bed.
Of course, if you get a bit of the ball after the man, again, that is technically a penalty, and I wonder if that was it, if it was leg then ball. So Arsenal do have the penalty and the chance to surely put the North London derby to bed. Good, incisive play, flowing football. And Charlie Gilmore's picked himself up from his knocks, and the young Scot has the chance to surely win the game for Arsenal. Oh, dearie me. Lacked a bit of conviction in the run-up. It was well placed into the corner, but that's a really good save from Brandon Austin.
It is a good save. I think it was kind of telegraphed a little bit. He approached it like that was where it was going. It's not really enough in the corner for me, Russ. And Brandon Austin, he's a long lad. He's got good reach, and he does well to lay down flat. Sometimes you just got to bang them into the roof of the net with confidence.
I've seen worse penalties than that go in. It wasn't awful, but I totally take your point.
No, absolutely not. You've got to give the Tottenham keeper credit for choosing the right way. But he'll be disappointed with that, Charlie Gilmore.
Yeah, he's had a good game on the whole. He's pulled himself up from the injuries. He's played really well protecting the back four and in the heated battle in midfield, where he had the upper hand against Marsh, the opposition skipper. But he has missed a penalty. Speculative effort from distance there, which the keeper deals with. I think Jonathan Dinzey may well have come on for the away team during all of that melee as well. We'll just confirm that in a second, wearing 14. Slightly clumsy challenge there from Bowler right in front of the referee.
Wayne Burnett there in the centre, he's urging his players to get on the ball quickly, get that ball forward, and it's just what they haven't done. They haven't done enough of it this game. Not been able to put Arsenal under pressure because they've taken too long.
I think it's Brooklyn's Lion Foster who's the player who's gone off. Pretty sure Spurs have moved Ayoma to right back. Similar move to Arsenal, moving at centre half to full back to then accommodate the new man. And that's exactly what's happened, because Dinzey has taken up his position at centre half alongside Japhet Tankaga. Nice work there from Sheaf. We said how good he is on the ball as a converted midfielder. Joe Willock thought about a shot from distance. Laguthuelo delivering it. That's a really good stretch. Critical interception there from Spurs.
Look how quick Willock gets back though. He's putting Tottenham players under pressure there as they're trying to play an out ball.
It's a glorious turn from Sheaf as well.
Yeah, he's looked comfortable on the ball, hasn't he? That experience and that quality on the ball.
Joe just overdoing that one a tiny bit. Willock and Skip have had a good little battle in central midfield, and Willock now, the third player in a way, who's almost had a similar-ish kind of stretching issue.
I think it's just because of the output that you know, they're closing down, and that press is so hard for them to continue doing for the whole game. They're really pushing themselves to the limit, these players.
Again, hopefully nothing serious, and Willock very much in the Smith Rowe camp, and one or two other players of Carabao and Europa League football to come where they're bound to feature. That wasn't the nicest of challenges at all.
Jack Rolls don't need to be doing this. He's just gone over. He's on a card already. He doesn't need to be pushing Bowler there. He's pushed him in the chest. If the referee sees fit, he's got every right to get him off here.
Pleguezuelo's getting stuck in as well initially, and then trying to defuse the situation where he can. A little shove with Skip there. Oh, dearie me. And now Troy Parrott's come in and properly shoved Pleguezuelo down. That was definitely uncalled for, and his own players are turning on each other now. This is not good. Paris Magoma having a go at Troy Parrott for shoving Pleguezuelo down. Parrott walks away. He's talking to the referee's assistant. It's all a little bit handbags, and it's all rather unnecessary. I know this is the heat of a derby. We get that. We get the passion. We get the importance, but sometimes you maybe just need to draw a little bit of a line.
I mentioned this earlier, Russ, didn't I, about the frustration creeping into the Tottenham players. And when you see them, and Magoma again going for his own player, it's all frustration. He's getting a red card, Parrott, off for that. And I think it's going to... I've got a feeling the referee's got a yellow in one hand if he decides... Well, that's Arsenal players getting a yellow there.
That's the initial challenge, to be fair, that kicked the entire thing off, so I think fair enough.
Let's see if Jack Rolls gets away with it, because at the moment he's on a yellow, and he definitely shoved an Arsenal player in the chest. Is the referee going to get that one as well?
Pleguezuelo obviously got involved. He's going to get a yellow for his part, but I agree with you. I think Rolls also had a fairly big part. He was the fouled player, if memory serves, in the initial incident with Bowler.
And he
reacted.
He had the initial reaction, and he has got away with that big time, because the referee hasn't even pulled him about that, and that kicked the whole situation off. But
well,
we're going to see
the foul from Bowler. That kicked it off.
The foul kicks it off. Then we get this reaction, which we're not going to see, and that's okay. I think, you know, at this level, you don't want to see players sent off, and I think the referee's done well to keep it down to just one player.
So 3 of the 4 protagonists are punished in some form. Just to round it all off, Troy Parrott has been red carded, the young Irish striker for Spurs. They'll finish the game with 10 men. And yellow cards for the 2 Arsenal players, the man who fouled in the first place, Bowler, and the captain Julen Pleguezuelo for his part in the melee. Pleguezuelo then upended by Parrott for the red. But yeah, the initial reaction from Rolls is the one of the 4 who goes unpunished.
Yeah, it looks like Burton's getting ready to come on. I wonder if it's going to be Willock, because he's not moving as well and smoothly as he was after that cramp issue. And being one of those players that will be involved in the Carabao and Europa and the first team squad Premier League wise, I think he maybe has a bit of protection on there.
Bobby Burton played a fair bit last season in central midfield. To be content with the 14 jersey tonight. One of those players who'll be keen to try and get their first team regular berth back. But it ain't easy, is it, when you look at how well Gilmour and Willock have done as the 2 sitting deep tonight. It's what you want, though, isn't it, even at Premier League 2 level, to have this competition for places. Sheaf fighting Ballard and Pleguezuelo, for me, is the other obvious one from tonight, and really good work from Willock, who gets back on his feet after the injury. Great interception, just couldn't quite feed Tyrese John-Jules, and then nearly Keystone Cops there, leading to an own goal. And again, we've got Spurs players kind of turning on each other. Austin, I guess as the keeper, it's his right, really reading the riot act here.
Yeah, he receives that ball from Tankanga. He's not happy about that, is he? He should have set him on his right foot. And it is going to be Willock coming off.
Tankanga mightily close to an own goal there. And
you've got to say, though, Russ, just seeing that bit of passion and in a North London derby, and the fact that the modern game doesn't sometimes allow that or legislate for that sort of play, I think it's good to see in the game. It's what the fans, you know, they like to see a bit of passion. It means something to these players, and although it's against the rules of the game as such, someone like me who made a career out of antagonising people and getting in people's faces and
still do, some would say.
Well, yeah, I think it's just it is kind of nice to see that passion does bubble over sometimes.
That's an interesting point. I think there needs to be perhaps a balance, but it is good to see the passion and everything that it means, as Dan Ballard, another passionate player, tries to trademark header from a corner, just a bit too acute an angle there to really trouble the goalkeeper. Henry Martinez, nonchalant, deft little header there under pressure, means that Burton gets an early touch and under pressure does well. Spurs, remember, down to 10 men, and as you can well see on your screen, 2 goals down, just a couple of minutes away from tasting defeat in the Premier League 2 North London derby.
Yeah, they've really been outplayed, outclassed, out-muscled, out-strength and out-experienced. And, you know, naivety at the end has got them down to 10 players. But you've got to say that they've still played and they give everything that they had. They've given 100% this game.
Ball over the top. Arsenal still going for their third. Oh, mightily close to it. Wonderful work from the dangerous Bukayo Saka down the left-hand side. A lot of pace and power on the cross, and maybe just a bit too much for John Jules to guard it in.
Yeah, Saka does brilliant, doesn't he? And he pulls that ball back with his left foot. Lovely. You know, I think he's just got to control that into the net, Jules.
Just behind him a smidge. I wonder if that was the other issue. He had to kind of crane his neck around the ball.
Yeah, Van Basten-esque, wasn't it? Van Basten's one from the edge of the box, that sort of thing. But if he just can do that and just nod it back, Brandon Austin's momentum's taken him to the left. He's not going to be able to get back. But Arsenal still making chances, even though they give everything they've got.
Sheaf begins another attack. Been really impressed with him since coming on. Really sticking his hand up for selection in that Blackburn game in a few weeks. Bowler with a good ball through. Will this be number 3? That's a brilliant save from distance. Great football from the fledgling Gunners again. And unsighted, Austin scrambles that behind for another corner.
Yeah, Saka again in a lot of space. This time he pulls it back to Amici. Hits the ball into the ground. It's not a bad attempt, but it's another good save by Brandon Austin.
Yeah, he had 2 players blocking his view from his own team, Austin, there, which made the save all the more impressive. The corner is mishit, but Arsenal still on the attack. Here's Burton. Back out to Amici. Time for one more run from him. Ballard did his best. Oh, really good football from Ballard second time around to react to that one on the floor. Cheeky little foul there. Bowler's got to be careful, because he's on that yellow.
Definitely going to say that he needs to be careful.
Because he knew Arsenal were a bit stretched there, didn't he, as he just stuck out a foot.
Yeah, it's a team foul, isn't it? But on a yellow card, sometimes it's not the right decision. He could have afforded just a hold there.
You pulled off the odd team foul in your day, I believe.
I think he was allowed sort of the odd team foul back in the day. But referees are quite hot on that now, which is understandable.
Skip. It's really well there. That's an intelligent ball out to the far side as well. Ogunthuelo in the far corner. Forced to concede the throw. No, it's deflected off the Spurs player in the end. We're going to have 5 additional minutes, by the way, because, you know, as you can see on your screen, that's exactly what we've got, due to, more than anything, the melee that led to the red and the yellows about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, maxed out on the subs as well, so I suppose you add in the time for each of those changes of player. That's about right.
Intelligent ball over the top. John Jules, oh, he's offside. That was tight.
Yeah, he's still full of running, isn't he? Tyrese, John Jules, he's worked tirelessly, and he's another one that's feeling the pressure, I think, a little bit on those hamstrings and calves. I think the masseur after the game's certainly going to be working hard on these players and on their recovery.
So Arsenal, unless they get another, will have scored 11 goals in their first 4 Premier League 2 games, which is not bad. Sheaf, an unintentional back pass back to his keeper there. Reception was good enough. So 11 in 4, and having conceded 9 in 3, perhaps the most pleasing thing in some regards for Numbo tonight, and I don't want to count my chickens here, is a likely clean sheet.
Yeah, and the way they've gone about the clean sheet, as you said, Sheaf's had to go in, you know, after not playing for quite some time. He's gone in there lovely, settled in nice, like he's never been away. There's been a good balance about the team. We've had players going from central defence out to right back. It hasn't affected them as a unit, and the bonus of the clean sheet. Yeah, they've been in control tonight, the defence, and defences win games for you because they allow the forwards just to go and attack. So yeah, he'll be very pleased with that. I think a good report will be going back to Unai Emery about those 4 or 5 defenders tonight.
As we know, Unai Emery is meticulous in his preparation. his methodology and his knowledge of all concern from the club, right from the youngest players up, and it's one of the accolades that of course got him the job in the first place, we understand.
Yeah, he's kind of an old school manager in that respect. You know, defenders defend, forwards attack.
That knowledge of everybody and how they fit in, how they're playing, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are as well.
Yeah, and playing players to their strengths and you know, not exposing their weaknesses. And he's you know, it's a work in progress with the first team. We know that because they're in a transitional period, but the signs are there. The players are very buoyant in training and happy to take on his new ideas, and it will take a little bit of time. And the fact that all levels at the club are playing the same way, I think, is only a bonus for Arsenal at the moment.
Spurs a man down and just trying to finish with their heads held high and maybe try and grab at least something, a consolation at the end of this match. Arsenal, though, as David Hillier says, still full of running, pressing their opponents and making them scrap for everything. One opportunity maybe here. It's young Neil Bennett. Skip slides one through as far as Harrison. This is good football, this. And there is what I suspect is a consolation goal, but there is a minute to go. He's had a tough night, but Jayden Brown, the left back, is the man who fires it home. And Spurs, to their credit, have kept plugging away, and they've got their goal. Arsenal do not get a clean sheet. Arsenal 2, Spurs 1.
It's the curse of the commentator. Unfortunately, Tottenham have worked it well. It's the first time they've got the ball into their front man with any sort of possession, and all the Arsenal players got drawn into the ball there, which we haven't seen this whole game. And that one element of mistake, if you like, by the defensive unit has allowed space out on the side, and Tottenham get their goal. I don't think it's going to affect the outcome of this game. I hope not.
No clean sheet, but the 3 points are only seconds away. Excellent work between Bola and Saka once more. Pace of Bukayo Saka. And that's sensible football in the sense that Arsenal just kill a few more seconds, but the third goal would have been lovely. Yeah,
it would have been, but there's been more than a few opportunities to get that third goal. Even in the first half, they could have been 3. We've seen the 5 minutes of additional time played, so how much longer it goes on for. It's going to be another booking though.
Burton this time taking one for the team, not retreating the full 10 yards, interfering with play from a illegal position.
Wayne Bennett urging his team forward there. Last effort as Austin punts it forward down the centre.
Ballard goes down, and that is the final moment of the game. Arsenal have done it, and they are kings of North London once more. They've won the Premier League 2 local derby by 2 goals to one as Freddie Ljungberg and Wayne Burnett shake hands. Freddie's boys have made it back-to-back wins in 2 London derbies. West Ham 3-2, Spurs 2-1. After a slower start to the season, the defending Premier League 2 champions are climbing the table and getting some excellent momentum into their season. Goals coming from Joe Willock in the first half, and the man you just saw on your screen, Tyrese John-Jules in the second. Red card for Troy Parrott, late goal for Jayden Brown, but Arsenal get the job done. Arsenal 2, Spurs 1.
Yeah, it could have been so many more. I think Burnett's body language says it all. His hands in his pockets and he's looking a bit forlorn really with his side. I think he knows that it was never 2-1 as a game. The result might have been that. He'll be disappointed with the way his players self-destructed, if you like, towards the end of the second half, and that melee. I would imagine there'll be words in the dressing room, knowing Wayne. He needs to keep a lid on his players though. Emotions will be high. It's a North London derby. On the flip side, Arsenal will be going in a little bit disappointed, Russ, that they didn't really have a more commanding scoreline as the performance would have suggested. There's been some great play out there, particularly from the more experienced players. They've really held that team together. And you know, I may be a little bit biased, but I don't think 4-1 or 5-1 would have been unjust tonight.
Little break for several of these players then, who now head off on international duty, many with England and 1 or 2 with other respective nations as well, under 20s, under 19s.